we're turning Wednesday into a destination because we get a chance to talk to one of the greatest columnists of all time. He himself agreed Mount Rushmore is where he belongs, and maybe even have an empty space there. Not 4 people, maybe 3, and just a nice space, next to his face. But we have him right now on the K Show, Mike Lupica. Mike, how are you?
Hey, Michael, I was thinking, it's premature to talk about 2 spaces on Mount Rushmore, obviously, but maybe this is just something to think about going forward, okay? Maybe they could do it like a mugshot, me facing forward and then me in profile.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
That is a thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it looks kind of like a monument-sized mugshot.
Well, he just said that. He wants that.
That's what
monument
I just said,
size,
Don.
though. I'm sorry.
So this is the way it was working with you, because you just did not listen to what I said. You never listened.
This is why I want him on the show.
And you would think that with all the time you were talking, I'd listen a little bit. He does a bad job at it.
Wow, going back at our guest.
He's on a guest now.
It's his show. It's the Mike Lupica show.
Yeah, this is now. He now has his own segment. So,
Mike, you were right in the middle of '94. Does this remind you of it at all?
Yeah, it does, Michael, except it's an even better time because of the way the Yankees are playing. So we've added baseball into the mix right now. But, Mike, I can remember flying to Vancouver for the night for Game 6 on a Saturday, because that could have been the night when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, taking the red eye back through Toronto, because the Knicks were playing at the Garden the next afternoon. It was just an extraordinary time where you just felt like all life in the city was running through Madison Square Garden. And you remember, after Knicks or Rangers games, if one of the others was playing, people would stay in the arena and they would put the game on the big board.
Oh, man.
No, pretty incredible stuff. Now, as somebody that lived through that, Mike, it's so easy to look back at Messier and Leach and Graves and Richter and all those guys and hold them up in high regard because they eventually won. But from a pure star power, leave Messier aside because we knew what he was before he got here. Can Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Igor Shesterkin, could you make the case that they're, even though they haven't won yet, that from a star power standpoint, they might be as bright, if not brighter?
Yeah, Don, if they win. I mean, that elevates everything around here. We haven't had a lot of winning in any of the major sports for quite some time. I mean, the Giants were the last team that won. I'm not dismissing soccer, but you know what I mean. And yeah, if you win, I mean, I went back and looked today, and back at the 1970 NBA Finals, okay, because I want to use that as a reference point for something in a minute, okay. Willis played great till he got hurt. Dick Barnett played great. They had Hall of Famers just about at every position on that team. But even with all of that, they needed the epic drama of Game 7, and they needed the Knicks' first championship. And then, of course, they did it again 3 years later. And so winning changes everything.
Oh, no.
I thought it was Don just banged on him.
You think Don did that on purpose?
Don did?
I don't have the power.
Wow, Don,
I know better than that. He could have me killed.
He really could.
You think so?
And he might.
Wow.
You don't know the power of Lupica.
He might be the most powerful person I've ever worked with. Now, it's all relative. I mean, I don't know what kind of power the media has anymore, but you know what I'm saying, Michael. He's not nobody. He's somebody.
He could have you killed if you actually did that. Hi, Mike. You back?
Mike, didn't you used to talk about the wave of the hand?
Yes. When Mike would wave the hand, you were out of the business.
You're done. We're all very, and you know what? We're all very fortunate to still be, because there are some that are no longer here.
As I was saying, all of those Hall of Famers on the Knicks of that time, okay, which is why there is as much romance attached to them as any team that's ever played. It's a similar romance to like the '98 Yankees and Torre's Yankees. But winning changes everything, especially in New York. And so if this Rangers team does this and they do it 30 years after, it won't be 1940 to 1994, but it feels like that to Rangers fans. No, this is tremendous what's going on, because we talked about this I think last week. This is, to me, one of the most appealing Knicks teams, for example, of all time. And, Don, I will tell you this. I stayed up and I watched the second overtime last night of the Rangers, because you know how passionate I am about hockey. And the minute they whistled that penalty, I knew the game was over. I knew that they were going to send out all the heavy hitters, they were going to score, and they were going to go ahead 2-0, and that's exactly what happened.
Now, I agree with Jeff Van Gundy that comparison is a thief of joy, especially comparing eras. But we've been talking about this a lot in the last week or so. Is Jalen Brunson the best Knick since Patrick Ewing?
Oh, without question. Oh, no. You talk about for all of the great players, and I'm not dismissing Willis or my friend Dave DeBusschere or Bill Bradley or anybody, okay? There's three guys that I think have separated themselves from the others, and that is Clyde, Patrick, and Jalen Brunson. And Mike, and guys, I will go one step further. What Jalen Brunson is doing right now is as great a postseason performance as I have ever seen in any sport while I've been covering sports in New York City. What he's doing on a nightly basis feels like it's Reggie's 3, except it's every night, okay? It's Phil Simms against the Broncos, except it's every night. It's Strahan and Tuck and what they did to Brady, except it's every night. And this is a guy who's listed at 6'2". Yeah, right, good one. The whole game runs through his hands, and he is doing this on a nightly basis. And it is, here's the thing about Clyde, okay? The greatest single game we had ever seen or heard about was obviously Game 7. Willis limps out and makes 2 shots, but as you know, Clyde goes for 36, 19, and 7 that night. It's the greatest game of his life, and people still call it the Willis-Reed game, okay? For that series, though, Clyde, I think, averaged 17 points and 10 assists. He was having a perfectly good series. He was like their 4th leading scorer. Willis was their leading scorer before he got hurt. What this kid is doing is like Jeter's best October. I mean, Jeter's first October in '96, he had 22 hits, and everybody remembers A-Rod in 2009, except Derek actually hit 400 in 2 of those series and had another 22 hits. Mickey had like 1 400 World Series. What we are seeing is somebody performing under the biggest possible spotlight. And, the old Dizzy Gillespie Jazzman line, the professional is the one who can do it again. Well, he keeps doing it again and again and again.